Hey there! Welcome to Exposing the Hidden Reality. I'm Annette, career reinvention coach and caffeine-powered human.
And I'm Sandra, women's life and leadership coach. I bring the woo to our conversations.
And this is the podcast where we call out all the unspoken stuff, biases, outdated expectations, and all the things women navigate in work and in life.
Yes. We bring to light what we see happening. Smart, capable women stuck in the same patterns because no one really talks about what's going on.
We'll bring some difficult truths.
Welcome, insightful experts.
And sprinkle in a little chaos and fun.
It wouldn't be us if we didn't, right?
It's true.
So whether you're walking the dog or tuning in during your commute, we're glad you're here. Let's do this.
Let's do this. You want to do the let's do this together? Like 3, 2, 1, let's do this. All right, 3, 2, 1. Let's do this. Oh my gosh, I am so excited about today's conversation. And Sandra and I are welcoming Dr. Reincke. She is an amazing, amazing doctor with a ton of perspective on women's health, among other things. And doctor, if I can give you the floor to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Reincke. I'm an interventional radiologist, which just means my subspecialty or my niche is working through catheters. I've been doing this for the last 10 years exclusively, so kind of 24/7. That's what I do is I work through catheters, helping patients, predominantly women. My patients population tends to be predominantly women with leg vein concerns. Most of the concerns are about medical illnesses, or medical concerns of those veins. So tired, heavy, aching, that kind of thing. I deal with a little bit of cosmetic, so a little bit of how they look, which, that's not covered by insurance, but that's what I do. And I love it. I love what I do.
I love that. How did you get into such a specialized field?
So what I would tell you, the shortened version is, I started out, interventional radiology is a pretty broad field, dominated honestly, mostly by men. And when I did my fellowship, so extra training in interventional, I found when I got out that it was really broad and a little bit too broad for me, meaning I just didn't feel like I had a good base on anything because there were lots of different procedures. I was in a hospital too, so it was corporate medicine, but I just didn't feel like I had a good grip on anything. And granted, when you come out of fellowship, you're not supposed to, but there were some other kind of dynamics going on behind the scenes, not as much support from the division chief. And that doesn't bode too well. So I started looking for something that was a little bit more niche that I could maybe be an expert in, the specialist in. And given my interventional radiology background, as well as I had been a surgical ICU nurse. So I had been a surgical ICU nurse and then a neurosurgery PA and then an MD. So a lot of background. I looked into veins because I had some information about them, and I knew that I could focus on one thing and be hopefully really good at it. So that's what I did. I started doing research and ended up landing a job here in Houston. That's where I practice out of, and it was the best fit ever.
Sandra, you're on mute.
Well, of course I'm on mute. You guys are supposed to be picking up my stuff telepathically.
Your vibe.
So, Dr. Reincke, we were talking backstage before we started recording about some of the bias that you experience as a woman. Mm-hmm. And it came up because we asked you how you wanted us to address you today. And I'm wondering if you could share your perspective on what you see as a female doctor.
Okay. So all the training that I kind of just described, I would say some of the biggest biases that I have worked against are the assumption that I am always going to be the nurse, which is definitely not a bad thing. I just said that I used to be a nurse. So I'm always less than the physician. I can't even tell you, this is the craziest thing to me, but I recently had a new patient come into my office and I was educating that patient. My waiting room has my face on this plaque award, whatever. And the patient literally asked me if I was the doctor. Like, I introduced myself as the doctor. I have like doctor on my scrubs. I have doctor on my lab coat. That's my face. This is my name in the clinic. And after educating the patient, it was a she, said to me, "So you're the doctor?"
Wow.
So yeah, so that was, I can't even tell you. I mean, even now at this level, this is my center, etc. But I think yeah, some of the bias, I mean, all the hashtag me too. I'm a little bit older, and when I went through all my training, it was different than now. There's been a lot of, I think, support for women, empowering women now. Some of the things that I had to go through, it was like they just fed it to me and I ate that, meaning I just had to deal with it. There was no complaining. There was no work-life balance or mental health days or anything like that. And so those things, what I decided was, it was really difficult. It was extremely difficult. Honestly, I cried a lot. I was overwhelmed. I was super anxious. That's truth. That's real, whatever it is. But what I decided was, instead of perpetuating a cycle of toxicity in medicine, in training, in leadership, so how I even interact with my staff, I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop those cycles. I can choose to treat people differently that show up for me in my practice. And that's what I've done. Legit. Like, every day, even my little sassy pants. Sometimes I kind of have to, like, reel it in, whatever, but I'm very appreciative of this opportunity. And I hope that it shows in the way that I lead, in the way that I educate my patients, in the way that I present myself. So that's what I decided to do, because there's a lot of like, are you kidding me? I could make probably a whole story, a whole book about all the craziness that has happened during, especially medical school and residency training. And I just decided that's not what I'm going to do. I'm not, and there's, to be honest with you, it's no disrespect to the Greek system, but there's a lot of like hazing that goes on in medicine. Like, this is just the way it is. You are supposed to, this is the way it's been, and so this is the way it's going to be. And again, I do think that climate, that culture is changing, but I just decided then, when I get out, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to change it, and I'm going to make it positive and for the better.
One of the things I was thinking about while you were sharing that is just how much conversation there is about, the process of residency and you stay up for all kinds of hours, and, there's so much discussion about the lack of sleep and how that affects your brain and your decision making and your just your whole processing. And whenever it's brought up, it's kind of like, well, we all went through it and we're all fine, so this is the way we're going to continue to do this.
That is probably one of the biggest, I think, something that needs to change the most. And it did change while I was in training. So it used to be that there were no limitations on the hours that a physician spent in a work week.
Okay.
And then, and then they limited it to an 80-hour work week.
Oh,
so
much better.
Absolutely, right? So even that, think of that, that's like twice as much as a normal person would be asked to work. And then again, I'm just being honest, it's about being honest, but you know, sometimes we would actually work over 80 hours in a week, and we had to log our hours, and we were encouraged to be honest. But then if we logged the hours over 80 hours, we would also be encouraged to figure out how we didn't work 80 hours in a work week, because then our program would be dinged and potentially lose funding if they weren't compliant. So it's interesting how that worked. You always had to be documenting under 80 hours, even though, frankly, oftentimes it was much more than an 80-hour work week. And it's not safe. It's not safe for the physicians. It's not safe for patients to be working under those conditions. And so I think I don't know the solution. I don't know what that is. You have a physician shortage in this country,
Right.
and maybe it's having more residents, and then you can spread the work out and not work so many hours. Right now in the state of Texas, this is just an aside, but in the state of Texas, they're allowing foreign physicians, so they're board certified in their country,
Okay.
to now come to Texas, and they can work almost like a resident. So they have to be supervised by a board certified physician to help with the shortage. And there's been a lot of conversation around that, about what board certified physicians think and how that will affect training physicians, because they're board certified in their country, but they haven't gone through a residency or maybe a fellowship, or are board certified in the United States. And so lots of conversation about that, pros and cons. And I'm sure you can imagine what, pros and cons might be. But yes, state of Texas, as far as I know, is the only state right now doing that.
That is interesting. So trying to cover the shortage by thinking of out of the box solutions.
Right.
Yeah. I
But
like
then,
that piece of it, but then what's the risk to patient care, and what's the considerations for somebody that's overseeing that person? So many questions.
right.
So
Yes.
I really liked when you were talking about how you decided to do it differently for yourself. And ultimately that came down to a leadership decision. So it sounds like you had some leaders be an example to you, and not exactly the example you wanted to follow. So talk a little bit how leading like a woman is different for you, doctor, and what decisions you made as far as your own leadership style and how you wanted to do it differently.
So something that I always thought was like, when I was in each of these training positions, and I'll say, even this was a little bit the same, like in nursing school, a little bit in PA school, but it was really obvious in medical school and residency. What I found was you were kind of treated not as a guest. You were treated, and this isn't every, okay, but just in general, like what I saw kind of in general was, you weren't treated like a guest. You were treated almost like a malignancy or an anomaly, or like, you had this extra appendage, and you were always in the way, and you didn't feel like you were really wanted necessarily. So I said, it would be so easy, at least I think this is how my mentation is, like, it's so easy to make someone feel welcome. Think of somebody coming to your house. You have a guest. How do you treat that person? You welcome them in, you ask them, like, how could I make you comfortable? Or maybe what could I do to make your life easier? So for me, it starts with my staff appreciation. I mean, I could go on all day about what I do, because those people, without my staff, I cannot function, and I give it up for them all the time. But let's use an example. I have family practice physicians that rotate with me, ultrasound students that rotate with me, high school students, etc.
Wow.
What we always do is what you all do, and I was blowing you up about how I'm so impressed, which is this, the communication piece, right? So when we know that we have students or resident physicians rotating, we always make sure that we communicate with them ahead of time, remind them that they're going to be here, that we're happy, we're excited to have them the day before. Something I do, it's just such a small thing, but gosh, it shows them that we appreciate their time. If my schedule, which normally could start at 8 a.m., and for some reason, if I don't have an 8 a.m. patient, and it's a little bit later, say it's a 9 o'clock start, we make sure that we communicate that with any guest that we have, whatever guest that is, a student, somebody who's shadowing a resident physician, in an email the day before. Hey, Dr. Reincke's doesn't start until 9 a.m. You don't need to be here until 9. And it's just such a simple thing. And from there, it just kind of goes up. So they get here, we tell them we've got the Wi-Fi password, we show them where all the drinks are, and you're happy, you're welcome to get those, introducing them to the patient, making sure that the patient understands, oh, Dr. Reincke thinks that this is an important person. They're here to learn and educate. And I mean, everything from offering them a seat when I'm sitting, we'll always pull in an extra little, medical stool for them to sit down, offer for them to sit down, ask them, would they like to ask the patients questions? I don't know. To me, it's basic character. Like, how do you treat that person? I know that it's somewhat of an anomaly in medicine, because all of our patients talk about how much they appreciate that. That's goal, right? That's goal. When patients let me know that they can tell that it starts from the first phone call to my amazing receptionist that makes them feel welcome, is super nice, etc., to their visit, that's worth it. I don't care if I don't treat a patient, if that resonates with your listeners, with you all. That's not the goal. The goal is educating patients and allowing them to make informed choices with that education. It's not how many procedures can I do. This isn't an assembly line. So I think in leadership and running my practice, the biggest thing is, treating people like they're a guest, whether that's a patient or my staff, or a true guest that we have coming in that wants to learn. And I don't know, it has to start with me. For in my opinion, it actually leadership starts from the top down, not from the bottom up. So if my staff sees me and I'm emphasizing something like, we want to make the patient feel more comfortable.
Yes.
Music, they can use their own phones, or we have a system, that Siri, we can say, hey, Google, play whatever.
Yeah.
Fans in the room, heaters in the room. It's everything. But I've never seen that. I never saw that before. And to be honest, I've never had a mentor that did that. I just kept thinking in my head, like, I am not going to allow these experiences, even though I feel like they're so negative and they're so toxic, to mold me. I'm going to do it the way I think we should be doing it. And it's served me well.
I love what you said about, informing the patient. It's not about doing the procedure so much as it's about making sure that the patient understands kind of what is going on and that
That's
they can
right.
make informed decisions. And the thing that I love so much about that is that I think women in general, especially when we go see any kind of medical professional, often are dictated. This is what you need to do.
Yes. It's almost like my patients are stunned when I tell them, when I give them the power and say, this is really your decision. Now, I will say, if a patient has advanced disease, the conversation it's still their choice, but it might be a little bit more where I say, I think you would benefit from treatment maybe sooner than later. That's a little bit different. Where the majority of my patients, it's just like, look, this is something, it's chronic. You're never going to cure this. So here are your options, everywhere from doing nothing to potentially getting some treatments that might help, and setting expectations. I'm not a magician. I don't have magic wand. I'm not going to cure everything about your legs that's causing, say, the swelling or the aching or the tiredness. So that's really important too, but definitely empowering patients, most of which are female in my practice. That's just how it lands. But I will say one thing that is this: 60% female, 40% men. So this isn't just a woman's disease. And I do want to make sure that's a really important point. But, empowering females for sure. This isn't, you have to do this. I walk in 5 seconds and say, oh yeah, you've got it. You definitely should be treated. This is very different way that we practice here at my center. Lots of other centers, you could go there and that's how they're going to talk to you. I'm pretty sure of it because I've worked with some of those people, but that's not the way we are here. It's definitely not our focus.
When I was pregnant with my twins, I had preeclampsia, and my obstetrician was out, so his replacement was there, as well as the neonatal doctor. I don't remember his official title. But he came in and he was like already hooking me up for to induce. And I was like, no.
Good for you.
And well, I was 29 weeks at that point. So I was like, no, we're not doing this. And he got mad at me. He stormed out. Wow. He told me he let me know how many years he'd been practicing and what his position on the team was, and that I was making a big mistake not listening to him.
Yeah, that's so outdated and egregious. Honestly, it should never be that way, but I'm sorry that happened to you. But
but it happens.
I've heard lots of stories like that. Even now, right? Even in 2025, yes, we still have physicians, even like I said, within my field, maybe, that they go in and they don't give patients necessarily a choice, right? And it's just kind of like, yep, you've got it. Yes, you need to be treated. But it's never like that. It's usually never life and death. Like if it is, you aren't talking. Okay, you've got a tube in your throat and you're on all kind of pressors or medications for your blood pressure, whatever. Like when it's like that, okay, I get it. That's life and death. Right. But one thing that we really try to educate our patients is you have a choice. It goes from nothing to maybe not even procedures, but maybe it's conservative measures, to maybe like with your case, how about you give me some options? I'm 29 weeks. I've got these twins. I'd love to take them to term. Okay, good. You're the neonatologist. Great. That's not what we're here for. Is your CV or resume? We're here, me and my threesome with these babies, to figure out what's best for us, not what degrees you have on the wall. Okay, I'm good with that. You're the neonatologist, but let me make some decisions. So I'm super proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. I wasn't doing anything until my obstetrician came back.
Good.
And he actually ended up leaving me his home phone number and said, if you encounter anything like this again, you call me.
That's me. All my patients have my cell number.
Mhm.
So I can tell you too, kind of going back to what Annette said, like, how is it a little bit different being a female? I remember even like 10 years ago is when I started doing exclusively venous insufficiency, vein disease, whatever, synonymous terms. And I remember giving out my cell phone number and getting a lot of heat from people, physicians saying like, oh, that's such a bad decision. You know, they're gonna abuse that, et cetera, et cetera. 10 years have gone by. I probably treated 10,000, done 10,000 cases. Never once has anybody abused it. But I'll tell you what I have heard is, oh, it's just peace of mind. That's so great that
Yes.
you do that. Thank you so much, etc. So
Yes.
yeah,
I feel
I do that too. I give the number.
well, when people are giving you that, oh, that's a bad decision. Oh, you're going to regret that. I feel like that's their insecurity coming out because they would never do it. Doesn't mean it's not the right decision for you. And that it keeps coming back to this, this advocacy for ourselves. What can we do? What kind of information can we have at our fingertips to help us make powerful, important decisions for ourselves? If I never call you, but I have your phone number, I know that I can call you. And that gives me a moment of power. Maybe I decide instead to send you a message. Maybe I decide I'm going to call the office on Tuesday after the holiday, whatever. It just gives me the feeling of power because often women are gaslit. They're told that they're making a wrong decision anyways. And so I wonder how much of that was them feeling insecure or them projecting onto you that, ooh, I would never do that because I would regret it. And it has nothing to do with you.
And I can't say this is why, but I did say that my field is dominated by men.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a catheter based specialty, and you know, all the dudes think like catheters are cool, and so do I. But in that particular group that I initially was in, it was me and like 8 or 9 other men.
Sure.
I don't know if that's why the comments were made, just because, you know, they're men, or if it was maybe because they were insecure, or maybe it was because they were insecure men, or like you said, maybe it's not about insecurity, just they wouldn't do that. It's okay. You don't have to do it. There's multiple ways to do the same thing correctly or right or whatever, right? Just because you don't choose to, I'm not dinging you. But I do think that one thing for sure that I noticed is, like, believe it or not, I know you're going to fall on the floor right now. Don't, because I need you. Okay. But I'm kind of introverted. I really don't like this is pushing myself, like public, being in the spotlight, etc. But what I think is, I've always thought differently outside the box and professionally, everything. And I would get people, just pushback is the best way to say it. And I used to think like, oh, maybe it's not right the way I think, or maybe I'm the outlier because I think differently. Again, leadership is a perfect example, how I run my clinic, etc. But I used to have thoughts, you know, like when I was a nurse in the surgical ICU, maybe I did things differently. I would sneak patients' family members in so that they could spend more time, as long as we had the agreement, like, look, you know, I have your patient, your family member is my number one priority. But if you can just sit there, chill, read your book, hold your family member's hand, I'll sneak you in the back door, like something like this, right? But I've always kind of thought outside, and I think that is intimidating for people. That's what I do think. So I kind of had to like suppress these thoughts outside the box until I got here. You know, it took me a minute, but I got here, and now I get to just flourish and do things the way I want to now. And I believe it works. it's at least it's positive. It's not toxic.
Yeah.
I love it.
It sounds like you have an inner knowing that was always directing you. Like, this is your path. You were never going to be on anybody else's schedule. It even sounds like your training was non-traditional in the sense that you started as
Yes.
a nurse, then a physician's assistant, and then got more education to become a doctor. That is not what I would say is. So you went about it differently, and then ultimately you continue to go about it differently because it feels right for you.
Oh my gosh, yes. Believe this. I shouldn't be here statistically, okay? Nobody in my family went to college. My mom didn't graduate from high school. I failed a bazillion things and I got back up and here I am.
Mhm.
So, yes, I had a patient last week, a new patient. This is not a lie. This patient started crying. It was the one of the biggest, like, it was such a profound moment, but she started crying. She was like, I feel like you were led to do this.
Mm.
And I said, whatever it is, I am insanely blessed. Like, I'm not lucky, no, because I worked really hard, but I'm
Agreed.
so blessed. Yeah. So yes, ma'am, I agree.
I
Good for
love
you, Dr. Reincke. And I think one of the things that we often forget, there seems to be this approach of this is what leadership should look like, X, Y, and Z, right? Or this is how you look professional. And I think women are judged for all of when we don't do those things. And so having the courage to stand up and just say, this is how I want to lead. This is what leadership looks like to me. And embracing that, that's
Mhm.
huge. That is leadership. And we need more people doing that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I will tell you though that I am doing that, but I will have even thoughts like, well, I I mean, pretty much every day, I'm in scrubs, right? But there might be a little something something like maybe my nail color, right? Which
Mm.
matches my sparkly pink surgical clogs. But like I think about that. Oh, I don't want patients to think if I wear little designs that I'm not serious or that, nobody I mean, men don't think about that. They show up
No.
in jeans and cowboy boots and maybe throw on their lab coat, and that's okay. Nobody's questioning that. But you come into my office, I got my name embroidered all over everything and educate you, and you still ask me, oh, wait, are you the physician? Ha! Yeah. I mean, that's why it's embroidered all over everything. If I was a man and I walked in and I didn't have my name embroidered on anything, of course he's the doctor, right? But
Yes.
I gotta put it all over everything. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, I do sometimes. I wish I could. I mean, I'm pretty much myself, but there it doesn't matter what it is. I do still have those thoughts like, okay,
Yes.
well, how does this project? Is this professional enough, etc. Being
Yes.
the woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think the tides are turning a little bit, and I think that
Yeah.
women are recognizing, like, oh, there's somebody like me.
Yeah.
There's someone that is reflecting back, maybe how I want to be spoken to. They're going to give me options. I've never had that before. I was talking with a client of mine today because she was
Mhm.
receiving some sort of medical care and was feeling unseen and unheard. And I was telling her that I have personally changed all of my providers. I look for women that are willing to sit and talk with you. And even if that doesn't work out, then I end up getting another opinion from another female provider because I feel like
Mhm.
they understand me already because we're similar, but that they know that it's not easy getting here into this office and saying, I really need your help.
Yeah.
And that's what feels so different for me as a patient. So I appreciate when somebody is showing personality, or like, I went to my last gynecology appointment and they're like, "Ooh, you're just about that right age for perimenopause." I'm like, "Yeah, thanks." And they're like, "I'm still going through it." But it was like a real conversation and it felt good. It didn't feel like I couldn't be myself and say like, "This is what I'm experiencing." So I
Yes.
love that you create that environment for anybody that comes to see you, but especially women.
Yes, it's really important. It's, top priority for sure. Yes. Thank you.
And women in general don't make time, right? I
Mm-hmm.
don't have time to go. I have this meeting. I have to take so and so. I have the vet. I have the groomer. I have this. I have the report due. I have to get the shopping done. It's like we don't make time to follow up on those things we should. Do you see that
Yes.
in practice?
Yes. Yes. I would say that women, the reason that my demographic, I think age wise, is maybe 40s or a little bit, maybe mid 40s, is because we've had, we've been the wife, we've had babies. It's been 18 years, and now the kids maybe are, it's an empty nest. And then you start thinking, oh, yeah, these veins I've had since I was sometimes even 18 or in their 20s, and they've been bothering me or whatever. Yeah, it's time for me now it's me time, because I've taken care of everything, and now I get to focus on me. So yes, I see the same thing. That's why I do believe that my demographic is like at that age, and they'll tell me that too. The kids, I've taken care of them. I don't have to take, or I don't know if have to, but I have this luxury of having children that I get to go to a million different activities and drive them around, whatever, be the chauffeur. I don't have, that's not in my life right now. My kids are in college or they're a little bit older. So now it's me time.
Yeah, I love that. I love that they're investing back in themselves. What about community, Dr. Reincke? What kind of community have you built around you with like-minded professionals? Because it's so hard being an entrepreneur, a business owner. So do you do it alone, or do you have a supportive community that you go to for help?
A little bit of both.
Mhm.
Primarily though, and I have to tell the truth, right? So primarily it really has been mostly me.
Yeah.
Getting to this point, everything I've done, decision making, etc. However, I will say that within the last year, I did join because I found out about it. That's why. It wasn't that I was adverse to it before. It's just like, oh, okay, so there's a group of female physician entrepreneurs in Houston. So I joined them.
Okay.
So it's like the Houston Female Physician Entrepreneur Group. So there's that. And then there's a Women Council of Entrepreneurs that I just a couple months ago also. So it's not just physicians, but women entrepreneurs. And I started attending, they have like monthly meetings for, let's say, different suburbs of Houston that you can attend. So that community, yes, I've invested in that. As far as like community outreach, that's also important to me. I feel like giving back because I sort of came from very humble beginnings. And so I intentionally do whatever free health fairs and outreach for family practice residents, ultrasound students. I also intentionally tried to target or focus, maybe not target, because that almost sounds like I'm stalking, but it's not. I'll say focus
Focus.
on
Got it. Okay.
underserved or minority populations with education. So Hispanic, Vietnamese, African American, Black, etc. I definitely do very intentional outreach with them in the community.
That's amazing.
Yeah. We I don't know where I was going to go.
That's okay.
My brain just went,
I was going to say that Sandra and I actually met through a women's entrepreneurship group.
You did?
So that's how we met each other during the pandemic, when everybody all of a sudden was all alone. And then we figured we needed people more, and we intentionally, and at times, right, with what you're saying too, a couple of years ago, you had to reach out because you had to make that connection, because without the proactive way of doing it, you really were all alone on your island and without support. And even not support, right? Sometimes you just need somebody who's in it with you to be like, yeah, this sucks. Let's acknowledge it. Okay,
I know,
we did that,
right?
and now let's figure it out.
Yes. Yeah. Like you said, it was intentional. Even recently, like I kind of felt like I've always felt like I'm in a great place. I have zero regrets, but not just about this, but like in life, stuff happens.
Yeah.
What's your perspective? Whatever. Maybe it's easier for some people, but for me, I'm just like, we're moving on. But you know, I wanted to level up, and I wasn't sure what that looked like. I didn't even know what that meant for sure. But I felt like I had 10 years of experience. So, you know, I had established myself in this specialty. My staff was good. They're spoiled just like they should be. I do anything I can. But I was like, you know, I'm not very good at online presence, meaning social media stuff. If I had to be honest, I wouldn't even want to do it. It's not my style. My style is like, yeah, I'm a doctor, come in and see me, whatever. But I also know that it's important. Not all my patients are going to be 40, 50 forever. There's this whole generation that wants to be educated and informed, et cetera. So I pushed myself I got a coach about business, and man, she's amazing. She's awesome. And she taught me a lot. And that's because I was open to it. I said, it was a little bit scary. You know, I said like, I don't even know how to do much more than send an email. And then she got me I was already on Instagram. I have a marketing team, but some of the interaction, teaching me about that, publications, it's just been amazing. But it was pushing myself, like you were talking about with the pandemic. It was kind of like pushing myself and just making that decision. It's not necessarily about driving more patients in. I'm good. It was more about how can I maybe enhance this kind of facet that I haven't really put a lot of time into. I don't know, because I was too busy, you know, starting to practice.
yeah.
It was scary, and I did it anyways, and it's paid off. Yes.
Yeah. And I think how you show up online is also a choice, right? I don't like being online either, but so I deliberately choose how I want to appear when I am.
Yes. I am so glad that you brought that up, only because let me tell you, I love laughing, love it. Like, oh my gosh. But when I'm professional me, I do laugh with my patients, but like how I show up on Instagram, Facebook, even TikTok, which kind of has this, to me, this is my opinion, but it's kind of like you can be silly and funny and, oh, here's the newest trend. Girl, I must be so boring because all my stuff that's like online and YouTube, whatever, it's all very medical and professional. I'm not saying that you can't be silly and professional. Don't get it twisted. But what I am saying is, for me, what feels authentic is providing educational information. I feel uncomfortable to be silly. Like I like fangirl all these physicians that are doing all the newest trends. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so not like that. But I don't want people to think I'm stuffy. I'm just, because I love to laugh and I can be super silly, but I wouldn't want a patient I don't know. I'm just not comfortable doing that. So I think it's interesting that you say this, because I've almost thought like, wow, I must be super boring to everybody, because, it's just like, this is vein disease, blah, 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 even on TikTok. But I can't do it. I just have to show up like, this is what I feel comfortable doing.
And that's what people are looking for. The people that find you there are appreciative of the value, the education that you're delivering. And so if that's how you choose to show up, that's great. And then when they see like something like this, which is a real in-person interview, then that's when they can see your silly side, or they can come see you in the office.
Yes,
And they
right.
can see that you're a multifaceted person, but they appreciate you for that serious education that you deliver, which they might not have been able to get anywhere else. So think of that.
Right.
Think of what you're doing.
Yeah. I don't get down on myself about it. I just know that, like, if I were to say something else that I do, I know it's different, but TikTok is a big platform where I see all this stuff about you want to become an influencer or get money to do. I have zero interest in that. It's okay if you do, but that's not why I'm there. That's just one more way maybe somebody stumbles upon me and says, oh, because I have had one student who came in and said, they emailed me, hey, Dr. Reincke, I saw you on TikTok. Can I come in and shadow? And I let them. They came in, they're pre-med, whatever. But yeah, I just, I'm not down on myself that I'm not that way. But I think that I'm not on those platforms. I'm not trying to get paid. I'm not trying to have products that I'm selling, nothing like that. And again, this is just about me talking about me. I don't, that's great if you do it, but I go on there and the majority of what I do is like other people's things and say positive things about other physicians or it doesn't have to be a physician, but I really try to be just encouraging with the things that I say online. It's super intentional and I don't want anything back. It's not totally altruistic, but it kind of is. So I try to, when I do go online, I try to make it positive stuff like, hey, you're pre-med, you got this, girl, whatever.
Good for you.
And people, I'm sure that helps people feel seen. And
I hope so.
Sometimes that's all you need to keep going. So
it is.
That's amazing. Well, Dr. Reincke, listen, I'm sure we could talk all day and we would love to. So maybe we'll talk again in the future. But
okay, yes, ma'am.
If people wanted to get your amazing videos or come see you, what's the best way we can get in touch with you?
Email is my name, Reincke, Vein, Vein, center.com. So that's my website, has tons of videos, information. Instagram, it's my last name, Reincke _vein.center. And it's the same thing, tons of information, followers, whatever. So those are probably the two best ways.
Okay, that sounds amazing. Thank you again for hanging out with us. And we're so appreciative that you shared your experience.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a wrap on this episode of Exposing the Hidden Reality. If something hit home or made you snort laugh, tell us.
Seriously, we love hearing from you. Message us, tag us, or send us coffee. We love coffee.
And hey, leave a review. It helps more women find us and boosts our egos.
Which are like fragile, like suspiciously fragile.
True. All right, until next time, keep questioning, keep growing, and if all else fails,
blame the dog.
See you
next time.
Wait, did we stop recording?
No, we're still here. You have to push the red button.
Red button. Cool. Just eternal podcast.
Bye.
Bye.